From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. President Tinubu joins other dignitaries in ancient city of Ibadan as Rasheed Ladoja is crowned 44th Olubadan amid pomp. Controversy grows over conduct of Post-UTME as stakeholders call for scrapping, describing it as legalized extortion. UN General Assembly delegates walk out in protest as Benjamin Netanyahu vows Israel must finish the job in Gaza. And in business, Dangote Refinery denies mass sacking of workers, says its reorganization move is to rid organization of saboteurs.
And in sports, leading financial services organization Moniepoint Microfinance Bank launches Monieball 5-a-side football tournament in Nigeria. Details and more.
Tonight begins now. And of course, we begin tonight in Ibadan, where the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Abdulrasheed Ladoja, has officially received his staff of office during his coronation ceremony held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, on Friday. The celebration, which witnessed tight security, had in attendance President Bola Tinubu, who led other top dignitaries from political and traditional space. News Center's Victor Mbadike reports.
It's an electrifying scene here in Ibadan as thousands dressed in colorful attire defy the scorching sun and stand for hours just to catch a glimpse of their new king. Access to the 81-year-old monarch remains nearly impossible, but some have devised unusual means to get closer. He was crowned at the Osemeji temple by the traditional council in line with Ibadan's succession custom.
As he become the Olubadan now, I expect a turnaround with the system of Ibadan, especially the land grabbing issue. I know he's educated, he's a king with good stand of wisdom. I know he will see to it, land grabbing will stop, and the chieftaincy title will be addressed.
You know, Messi Dolon Jimmy Layo, what they be Layo, Bogo Atawabina, Adelewani, Ayoati, Alafia.
Baba Ladoja.
The new king later received his staff and instruments of office from Governor Seyi Makinde here at Mapo Hall, a moment he will surely cherish in history.
I believe, someone believe that his tenure will be peaceful for us in this Ibadan and Oyo State generally. Because event like this has never been held. This is not the first Oba we have in Ibadan. But this standout is nothing more or less of a carnival. We've never experienced such in Ibadan before.
Ǹjẹ́ ọmọ Ìbàdàn àti gbogbo ọmọ bíbí ìlú Ìbàdàn náà tí à ń fọkàn sí lásìkò wọn náà ni pé kí ló tù wá lára. Àkọ́kọ́ náà ìdùnnú bẹ̀ ni wípé ìgbà oyin ni a gbọ́ pé bàbá gbé. Tó bá yẹ pé wọ́n gbégbá tàbí wọ́n lọ gbégbá epo wàhálà ni.
The carnival-like ceremony ended with Ibadan hopeful under their new monarch, Oba Abdulrasheed Ladoja, who succeeds the late Oba Ololade.
This coronation is both a celebration of culture and a call to leadership. For the people of Oyo State, Oba Rasheed Ladoja's reign is expected to safeguard tradition while also guiding the city to a better future. In Ibadan, for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
I have with me now Victor, who covered the coronation of the 44th Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Rasheed Ladoja, here in the studio. Thank you for the coverage.
Thank you for having me.
That is something.
It's been a long day.
I can imagine that.
I was my breath because I was under the sun. And I thought that I was the only one who was feeling the heat. I mean, the song was so bad that it was literally peeling skins. But you have thousands of these guys who didn't even care about the sun or whatever. They've been there since morning. Someone have been there as early as 5 in the morning. I've never seen that kind of a thing before. What exactly are you? What's so special about welcoming a new king? But it tells us how much Oba Ladoja himself have been. His journey basically since he left political officer since in 2007 as governor of the state. How he's been with these people. How he's practiced that local politics. This guy. So
he is obviously loved. It is because of somebody you care for that you come out for like that.
You also know that Ibadan basically, religions of Ibadan could be very emotional because remember back in 2007 when they had a controversial issue about his governorship, they felt that this was the right time to pay him back. They loved him at the point, but unfortunately that political controversy happened at the time. So coming back now as a king of their community, it's like it was something that they not just loved, but they felt that let us give back to this guy.
Okay, let's talk about the task. I mean, obviously, some people came as early as 5 a.m. to wait for the event, but there must be expectations from the new monarch. I know you captured some of them, but I know there will be more.
Absolutely. Well, I remember one saying that he wouldn't like his tenure to be pushed around by Governor Seyi Makinde, as that's always been the case when it comes to monarchy, in terms of relation between monarchy and the state government. He is saying that I hope that this is going to be different, even though I don't know what exactly we meant by that. Somebody has said that they want new markets, good roads. I mean, they're excited saying it because they feel that it's not just the problems that they have. They know that the king is actually going to meet those expectations. They are so optimistic. I don't know where that's
background is I guess you said it yourself.
They've seen him do that as a governor of the state.
Okay.
And they know that now that you are the king of their community, that gesture will continue. So they do not have a problem with him delivering on his promises. They just want to let the public know that for the fact that they have the new king right now, they also know that the Ibadan basically for the next few years will be a completely turnaround, and that's basically it.
Now, what was the response like? I mean, before now, we're speculating that what we'll have there is a representative of the president, but we understand the president was there in person, along with other dignitaries.
I mean, this is a very good question because don't forget, but they are all friends. They all started this democracy back in 1999. So Tinubu was governor twice in Lagos.
Right. So their relationship goes way back.
So whatever, I'm not going to go into the political aspect of it, but it's obvious. I mean, why the president is in Ibadan. I mean, this is is a huge opportunity for the president to stamp his authority, to send a message to the people of Oyo State. I mean, for the president to leave his throne basically to come to a ceremony like that means a whole lot to the people of Ibadan. So I'm pretty sure that they loved the fact that a whole president will leave his throne to...
Yeah, but he still used it to do a little bit of politics, right?
I mean, the president, his itinerary, basically, former governors, present governors, I saw...
But would you say that even though he came to support his friend, that the event was politicized in any way in terms of using it to amplify the work that they feel they do?
Felicity, don't put me on the spot.
You are a journalist and you covered the event.
But I also know the president was being careful as well. He was just basically more about telling the people of Ibadan to support the plans, programs and policies of the new king, and that he would also be there to give him his own support as well. And he also encouraged the Ibadan people not to lose hope in his government, in his renewed hope agenda. Yeah, the economy may not seem the way it should be, but he's trying to let them know that he's doing so many things to fix things. So that's just to also encourage them, and there was a lot of applause. So it's a big deal to have the president, former governors, former ministers, all of them supporting Rashid.
Quickly,
he's been in the scene, so it's not new to him.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of expectations, a lot of prayers and all of that, but did the new king make any speech in terms of commitment?
No, he maybe he's going to do that tomorrow.
Subsequently?
It's been a week-long event. He was just smiling. I mean, Maybe he has plans to do that, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure they're all having fun right now at somewhere in Liberty Stadium having fun and all that.
Let's allow you go catch your rest. Thank you very much for speaking with us tonight.
And congratulations to my friends in Ibadan, I mean the entire community of Ibadan. This is a historic event for them. Ibadan is like a carnival right now. I'm not sure.
I mean, we should be celebrating some things,
it's
not
Christmas
just
Day
complaining.
It's Christmas Day for them.
All right, we're going on a short break. We will be back. Let's talk education now. The controversy over the Post-Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, popularly called Post-UTME, being conducted by some Nigerian universities, continues to draw criticism from parents and other stakeholders. Some parents and university administrators in Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu aired their differing opinions in separate interviews, arguing that the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board should suffice for university admissions, calling the additional tests an unnecessary financial burden. Universities, however, maintain that the exercise provides an extra layer of assessment to ensure candidate competence. Coming up tonight, court orders Nigerian Medical Association to verify Nnamdi Kanu's health status and revert within 8 days. We'll tell you more about that when we return from this break. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu joins other dignitaries in the ancient city of Ibadan as Rashidi Ladoja is crowned 44th Olubadan amid pomp. Controversy grows over conduct of Post-UTME as stakeholders call for scrapping, describing it as legalized extortion. UN General Assembly delegates walk out in protest as Benjamin Netanyahu vows Israel must finish job in Gaza. Thank you for staying with us. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Nigerian Medical Association to constitute a team of medical experts to ascertain the health condition of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. The court, in a ruling that was delivered by Justice James Omotosho, held that report from the medical experts should be submitted to it within 8 days. It held that the report would assist the court to decide on an application that Kanu, who is answering to a 7-count terrorism charge, filed to be transferred to the National Hospital in Abuja for proper medical attention. Justice Omotosho ordered the medical team to visit the medical facility of the Department of State Services to confirm if it has the capacity to meet Kanu's health needs. The Lagos state government has demolished illegal and unsafe structures at the Trade Fair complex in Ojo, citing the need to restore order and enforce physical planning laws. The operation was carried out jointly by the Ministry of Physical Planning, Lagos State Building Control Agency, Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency, and the Lagos State Fiscal Planning Permit Authority. Omolola Ololade made a visit to the demolished site. Her report.
These multi-story buildings on Balogun Street at the new Mandela's Market, situated at the Trade Fair Market in Lagos, was brought down to rubble on Thursday morning by officials from the Lagos State government. About 19 completed and uncompleted structures scattered across different parts of the market were affected. Some of the traders expressed their dissatisfaction.
So lo and behold, I came here and the whole place is flattened. And there was no notice to that effect. So up to now, no notice was given as to why it's being demolished. This structure here is about 3 plazas together up to lintel levels, and at this point they've gotten, in fact, modest estimate of 100 million naira. They're not considering other ones that further got destroyed over there. In this class alone, so many goods lost millions as well. So the damage is down colossal.
An affected building occupant claimed the land is owned by the federal government, suggesting the Lagos state government demolition exercise may be unlawful.
I don't know why the state government should intervene, encroach on the land of the federal government. Are we in a lawless state? It's just very unfortunate that this is happening. Millions of properties were lost. They must pay for the damages that have caused to people. People who have spent their hard-earned money to ensure that they put us front for their business. And the government, who is supposed to protect life and property, is the agent that is destroying the property.
On a particular street at the market was about 10 new uncompleted buildings with hundreds of shops demolished, with the sale on the building by the Lagos state government to stop all ongoing construction work immediately. However, traders believe the exercise might be motivated by other factors, including tribal tensions or targeting specific groups.
I'm Igbo, and I believe that it's Igbos that has this building here. So what I understood yesterday was that maybe Yorubas or these people, they don't want Igbo to be in their land. But it's not fair. We are one Nigerian. So because all these things they vanished yesterday was someone's property, and some of them went to bank to borrow loan.
Although the Lagos state government claims the recent demolition of illegal and unsafe structures across the state is to restore order and enforce physical planning laws, it has sparked debate over urban enforcement policies in Lagos and their impact on informal traders and small-scale business operators. In Lagos for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
Rising flood waters are again wreaking havoc across parts of Nigeria, with new flash floods now battering communities in Kogi State. This comes on the heels of repeated flood alerts from the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, which has warned of possible flooding in over 100 local government areas across 29 states. The Owara community in Kogi State is currently in the eye of the storm as farmlands, homes and roads are currently submerged underwater. Correspondent Balagbogbo visited the community and reports.
In Kogi State are now far above normal. On Tuesday, flash floods swept through Owara community, leaving widespread devastation and leaving homes submerged with residents displaced.
Shelters, and that's an apartment over there. You can see the rooms and how the floods destroyed most living amenities here.
The overnight floods has put many in the community in difficult situation, as those affected are counting their losses.
What you can see behind me is vast lands, farmlands actually, full of agricultural products that have been planted by the people in Owara community. And as you can see, the flash floods has submerged all the lands around here. And it's just so devastating. We'll be speaking to some of the residents of the community to actually tell us how this flood has impacted this particular community.
We are just staying. In the night, we just see water. Water just from nowhere, just come and pack us, break our houses. No food, pack all our properties. So we don't have anything and we need help.
Would the big government, what they do, help us, or what do you go home? For house, where you go sleep?
Our family has scattered. Well, men of us in primary school, where government give a primary school, now there we sleep. People too many. We just manage ourselves there. It's too full.
The grace of God that we didn't lose any life. Because it is not like the conventional River Niger that if it is coming, it's gradual.
We had so many challenges when we were coming up from the town that is Lokoja, the state capital, but this is just one of the communities affected.
The Kogi State Emergency Management Agency has currently mobilized to provide relief to those displaced as they were seen on ground. However, for communities affected by the floods, the call is for them to heed warning by the government and relocate to higher grounds. In our community, for News Central, Morno Balagbogbo.
The Global South is facing mounting challenges in a financial system long dominated by the US dollar and other key currencies, from cycles of foreign debt to limited access to international finance. Countries struggle to secure economic sovereignty. On the second day of the Ideas Pre-G20 conference, experts explored innovative solutions aimed at giving nations the tools to reclaim control over their financial futures. Juliet Rowland has more.
Second day of the Ideas Pre-G20 conference highlighted how U.S. financial dominance leaves the Global South exposed. De-dollarization is about reclaiming economic sovereignty, with South-South cooperation paving the way for a fairer financial order.
We're living in a world of permanent bullying and weaponization of dollar hegemony. So basically, the fact that the US banks are so important in global trade and global payments allow them to bully the countries into pressuring them into certain policy decisions. Now, you have to build sovereignty with more than with speeches, with actual work, by establishing local correspondent banks in the region, by establishing payment processors.
The current international payment system traps Global South countries in cycles of foreign currency debt and dependence. Experts advocate dual currency frameworks with firm sustainable South-South cooperation. This will enable realistic management currency risk, preserve sovereignty, and reduction in reliance on key global currencies.
This radical change in monetary economics, and especially you need a reform allowing for the creation of a true system of international payment, while allowing countries to preserve their monetary sovereignty, which is absolutely determinant for them. And what's important is that you should have a system allowing countries to use money, a currency, for their cross-border payment.
Achieving financial autonomy in the Global South depends on rethinking domestic resource mobilization. By formalizing informal sectors and tapping regional capital, countries can fund development without excessive reliance on external debt.
Well, I think domestic resources mobilization is very important if you want to cut dependence on external debt, right? So I think in Africa's case, this continent is full of resources, right? There are a lot of young people, plentiful of workforce, and there are also a lot of critical minerals on this continent. So I think, there are a lot of resources that the continent can utilize for their own domestic growth.
For the Global South to break free from cycles of debt and dependence, countries must take control of their financial futures. The path forward demands bold reforms and collective action so that economic growth benefits entire populations and nations in the Global South can claim their rightful place in a fairer, more resilient financial system worldwide. In Johannesburg for News Central, I am Juliet Rowland.
Still ahead, anti-Paul Biya protesters march outside UN office in Geneva. That's after the break. Stay with us. Opponents of Cameroon's President Paul Biya on Friday protested outside the United Nations in Geneva, demanding an independent commission ahead of the country's presidential elections. The demonstrators, mainly from the Cameroonian diaspora, objected to the Constitutional Council's rejection of Maurice Kamto, Biya's main rival. They expressed frustration, saying the election seemed predetermined for Biya's re-election.
Nous avons donc constaté qu'il y a un candidat qui est le professeur Maurice Kamto, ou même d'autres candidats qui ont été, je vais dire, exclus de ces élections de manière, on va dire, bizarre. Et nous n'avons pas, en tant que peuple camerounais, apprécié cela. Et c'est pour ça que nous venons à l'ONU, demander à l'ONU justement s'ils peuvent faire le rôle ou jouer leur rôle. Nous aurons voulu que le président Paul Biya, avec son âge de 94 ans,
Now, following speeches by dozens of world leaders criticizing Israel and calling for the end of its war on Gaza, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the General Assembly with many delegates walking out in protest. Protest in solidarity with Palestine greeted Netanyahu as he arrived in New York to address the annual event. In his address, Israeli Prime Minister vowed to finish the job of eliminating Hamas in Gaza while also railing against what he calls a disgraceful decision by some Western countries in recent days to recognize the Palestinian state. Netanyahu, who has an international criminal court arrest warrant against him for alleged war crimes, will meet on Monday with U.S. President Donald Trump after telling reporters on Friday that negotiators are very close in striking a deal to end the war and return hostages.
Please order in the hall. Now I want to ask you a simple question, a simple, logical question. Would a country committing genocide plead with the civilian population it is supposedly targeting to get out of harm's way? Would we tell them, get out, if we want to commit genocide? We're trying to get them out. And Hamas is trying to keep them in. And this charge is so baseless. The comparison to genocide, wholesale slaughter of populations. What, did the Nazis ask the Jews to leave, kindly leave, go out? Did others, you want me to name all the genocidal leaders of history?
Let's cross over now to my colleague, Bernard Akede, who has been covering the sessions this year. I mean, a very eventful one for you today, Bernard. We had a walkout protest and a protest outside. Talk to us about reactions around you to these major events before you talk of the others.
Thank you, Felicity. And yes, truly, it's been quite an eventful and active week of the UN General Assembly, the 80th UN General Assembly. Concerning the protests outside, well, almost throughout the entire week, there have been pockets of protests outside. Of course, security operatives have kept quite a good perimeter away from the premises of the UN General Assembly, the UN building, I beg your pardon. So those who want to stage protests, it's controlled. We've had people staging protests for people of Palestine, and then we had some from Sierra Leone, Cameroon, and a few other countries staging protests, quite a distance away from the UN building. But I think the biggest drama today, and what a way to end the high-level week, was the speech by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, which you just talked about, and of course the walkout that was staged by certain delegates. There was a count of at least 100 delegates who staged the walkout. It wasn't unexpected, so to speak, because the same thing happened last year, and as they walked out, some were even clapping hands, for them. Even Benjamin Netanyahu himself put up quite a show. He had a badge on his chest there that had a QR code. I'm not sure what you would have seen if you had scanned that code, but there's a QR code on his chest. I think some texts claim that it was in respect to the Israeli lives that were lost in that October 7 attack by Hamas. But it boiled down to what he said, basically, just like you stated in your introduction, where he claimed that countries that are recognizing the state of Palestine are not doing justice to the lives that were lost in Israel, the Israeli lives that were lost, and the hostages that are still being kept in under Hamas territory. He said that the job, they would continue until the job is done, and by the job he meant wiping out Hamas. He also said that those supporting supporting, I wouldn't say Hamas, but the state of Israel are giving chance for terrorism to brew just next door to Israel. And he said it's having that, like saying you're having Al-Qaeda just next door to New York, basically. But long and short of it is the question that many people are asking: what exactly is the United Nations body going to do about this? Netanyahu has said it is not a genocide, as some have claimed he should be charged for genocidal crimes. And he's saying that they have given notification and information for civilians to get out of the city or the part that they want to attack, because they believe that these parts are occupied by Hamas terrorists. That if it's genocide, we wouldn't say get out. So the conversations are still ongoing, Felicity, and the question still remains: what is the UN going to do? Is it going to continue to talk, or will there be actions? But I think a deeper question is, what can the United Nations do actually?
All right, beyond the protests both in and out, and one from Cameroonians in diaspora, how visible was Africa's agenda in today's sessions and conversations?
Well, I would say Africa's agenda, not just today, but the entire week, is one that Africa has been pushing for quite a while. And it's the same one that Africa has been pushing since last year. The largest agenda, if you ask me, was having, or is having, Africa, or an African country, to have a permanent seat at the Security Council of the United Nations. It was the same conversation last year, it's the same this year. Besides Cameroon, the Nigerian vice president didn't request, he literally demanded that Africa be given a permanent seat. And not just Africa, he vehemently stated Nigeria and gave several reasons. The Kenyan president as well did the same thing. The South African president did the same thing. And so I think largely Africa's demand right now and Africa's conversation has been tilting towards having a permanent seat at the Security Council. Of course, there's been support that Africa has been reaching out for, also debt reliefs, such that the continent doesn't use its funds and resources to pay debts, while it can use that to regenerate its continent, basically, in terms of meeting SDGs, in terms of economy, health, education. And then, of course, there was a conversation about artificial intelligence, AI. The direction that AI is going right now is just the Western countries that really are reaping the fruits or the benefits of the advantages of AI. So there's also the part where African countries are looking towards greater collaborations with the West and with themselves, African countries, to build stronger technology that can challenge or rival what we get from the West. So I think these largely, but in particular, having a permanent seat at the Security Council, have been the conversations that have been pushed by the African leaders so far.
The optics is looking like everything is great. You asked the question earlier, what can the UN do? But talk to us about possible fatigue, resource constraints, and logistics, staff coordination, perhaps, if that is affecting the capacity of some African delegations to fully engage and push.
I wouldn't say so. On the contrary, staff delegation, fatigue, resources, I would doubt that. So on the contrary, the African contingents who came were pretty much in large numbers. You know, you would see a president or a minister or whoever is representing an African country, and then his or her entourage would quite be in large numbers, and you would wonder why the large numbers. And this is a conversation that some of us had on the side. When you consider the cost, when you consider the resources that it would take for a leader to come to the UN General Assembly and probably stay between 4 to 7 days, and then you look at the number of people that come with them when they're coming in or going out, you calculate that and put that in monetary terms, in terms of their feeding, their transportation, where they will stay and all of that. And then you will think that for African countries that are complaining about resources, this is quite elaborate, whereas some other countries came with just a handful of people and didn't have didn't have any issues, and you begin to wonder, what agenda exactly are we trying to push forward? Yes, you would understand that these leaders should come with some kind of support in terms of motivation and in terms of delegates who are going to speak and who are going to push forth their agenda. But again, to answer your question, I don't think any of that affected the African leaders who came, because they came ably represented and with quite an entourage. Of course, not all, but a good number of them came with a good number of representatives.
Ask that question because it's been back to back activity all through the past 4 days, and I mean the question had to come in. But thank you for your very insightful response. The questions remain: what can the UN do? Thanks for the coverage. We'll see you tomorrow. Tonight returns with business, sports and entertainment news. Do stay with us.
You're welcome back, and it's time for Business Tonight. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery has dismissed claims of mass sackings, insisting its ongoing reorganization is a strategic response to repeated sabotage attempts threatening safety and operations. In a Friday statement, its management stressed that the move is aimed at protecting the stability of the multi-billion-dollar national asset, noting that only a small number of employees were affected, while over 3,000 Nigerians remain on staff. However, labor tensions are rising as some dismissed workers were reportedly linked to unionization efforts. Pengason accused the refinery of resisting unions and warned it may partner with Nupeng to shut down operations if workers' rights and interests are not protected. Providus Bank and Unity Bank shareholders have approved their merger, marking one of Nigeria's most significant banking consolidations in recent years. The move, backed by the Central Bank of Nigeria, aims to create a stronger, more resilient institution with about 230 nationwide branches. Providus will contribute its digital-first SME-friendly reputation, while Unity Bank adds nationwide reach and brand equity. The merger is expected to safeguard jobs, expand career opportunities, and improve customer services. With CBN support, including a 700 billion naira bailout loan, the combined entity positions itself as a future-oriented bank aligned with Nigeria's trillion-dollar economy ambitions. Now let's take it over to the stock market report. Well, today the Nigerian stock market showed resilience as buying interest in key sectors pushed the all-share index higher, improving corporate earnings and easing inflation expectations supported sentiment, even as liquidity constraints and global uncertainties kept some investors cautious. Overall, it was a cautiously optimistic day for equities in Nigeria. So let's take a look at what's going on. Well, on the all-share index, it closed at 142,133.02 points, up 0.7%, and the market capped out at 89.34 trillion naira. Now let's take a look at what's going on in the sectoral performance. We can see it leaning towards bullish sentiment as it's closing up in a sea of green. While in banking, it closed up at 0.19%. Insurance was also up at 0.63%. Unfortunately, not a lot of action going on here in oil and gas as it stayed stagnant at 0.0%. While consumer goods was up 1.17%. Industrial goods over here, our shining star, was up 1.69%. Now looking ahead, investor sentiment on the Nigerian exchange remains cautiously optimistic, with focus shifting to upcoming economic data and corporate actions. While today's gains reflect growing confidence, sustained momentum will depend on market liquidity and broader macroeconomic stability. Well, that's a wrap on Business Tonight. My name is Chamon Dabeng. Please do stay with us, as coming up next is Tunde with sports.
Hello and welcome to Sports. Probably the biggest challenge of the collegiate sports system in Nigeria is a lack of support from corporate Nigeria to help students achieve the dual dream of a university education alongside an engaging and active participation in sports. Well, one of Nigeria's leading financial services organizations, the Monieball Microfinance Bank, is literally putting its money where its mouth is. At their Lagos headquarters today, Monieball unveiled Monieball, the first ever five-a-side football tournament for Nigerian universities in collaboration with the National University Games Association, NUGA. 8 universities will participate in the first ever edition, with the teams split into 2 groups of 4. A round-robin phase will see the top 2 teams progress to the semi-finals and ultimately the final. According to Anastasia Igbokidi, head of brand at Monieball, the organization is very invested in the future of Nigerian students.
I just want to say is that there will be prizes apart from the main trophy. Obviously there will be prizes for best players in each of the games, team of the tournament, player of the tournament. So we're going to have those special prizes and those special recognitions for those players and teams.
Right, there's always a place to start, and Monieball 5-a-side is in its maiden edition. This is the very first edition of them. Also, there is always like a way to go. There's always like the future is, you can't tell exactly how far we're going to take this, but what I know for now, like what we're very sure of, is Monieball 5-a-side tournament is here to stay. We want to see how engaged people are. We want to see how connected people are. We want to see how much the students love it, and if this is something that they want us to continue. And the plan is to keep growing, to keep expanding into more schools. So that's why I said like that. The plan was to go into the universities, figure out what they love, right? Figure out how to really align ourselves with the young people in a way that is meaningful, as opposed to just giving rewards. Like it's a good thing to just give rewards, but I guess.
Meanwhile, Remo Stars Football Club of Ikede booked their place in the second preliminary round of the Total Energies CAF Champions League with a composed 1-0 victory over US Zilimaju on Friday, completing a 5-0 aggregate win. Striker Alex Oyowa settled the second leg on the 74th minute, guiding home the night's only goal at the Moshood Abiola Sports Complex in Abeokuta. Carried a 4-goal cushion from last weekend's first leg in Ikene, where Leonard Ndenge, Ebuka, Anthony Adams Goita, and Sheon Olashupo all scored. Daniel Ogumodede's side played with control and discipline. Remo Stars now advanced to October's second preliminary round, where a glamour tie against South African heavyweights Mamelodi Sundowns awaits. To boxing now, all boxing activities in Ghana have been suspended following the death of a super middleweight 11 days ago after a bout in Accra. Ernest Akushe, popularly known as Bahubali, died aged 32 on Tuesday. While the exact cause of his death is yet to be determined, preliminary indications suggest it may be linked to internal injuries sustained during his recent fight. Akushe faced Jacob Dixon at the Bukom Boxing Arena in the Ghanaian capital on the 12th of September. In a statement, the National Sports Authority described the nationwide suspension as a necessary step to protect lives, uphold the integrity of the sport, and ensure its future. Authorities have also announced plans to implement a 5-year strategy aimed at establishing safer, more professional and globally aligned standards for boxing. And that's all we have on Sports Night. It's entertainment up next with Kate.
Kate is here for us. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Felicity. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Well done. All right, Kiss Daniel recently took to social media to address the rumors around his bank account, calling it all cap. That means it's not true. Now, according to him, his accounts are intact, his bag is secure, and fans have nothing to worry about. Of course, the clarification comes after several blogs pushed the narrative that the singer was in some kind of financial wahala. But he did not just debunk the news. He added that not all trending headlines should be believed. Now that he has cleared the air on that, this means it's still business as usual, more music and more vibes to keep the playlist hot, like he usually says. People agree with him as well that he has no bad song. But what do we make of this though?
Okay, so what comes to my mind is the obsession to trend, the unhealthy obsession with people's personal lives.
Right.
It's already our undoing, both for the curious and the porn, but It is what it is. It's today's reality.
Yeah, cloud chasers everywhere. Moving on, Metro Boomin, the Grammy-nominated producer known for hits with Drake, Future, and 21 Savage, has been cleared of all 4 counts of rape and sexual battery in a lawsuit filed by Vanessa Lomaster. A Los Angeles jury delivered the not guilty verdict on Thursday, just 2 days after the trial opened. The accuser alleged that she met Metro, whose real name is Leland T. Wayne, in Las Vegas in 2016, claiming he assaulted her after she took alcohol and Xanax. She also alleged that she became pregnant and later had an abortion, even citing lyrics from his 2017 track rap, Saved Me, as references. Now, Metro strongly denied the claims, calling them a shakedown, and his attorney, Lawrence C. Hinkey II, said the jury's decision confirmed that the accusations were frivolous and unequivocally false. And that does it on entertainment news tonight. My name is Kate Adiogun. Thank you for watching.
And that's our offering tonight. But before we go, a quick reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu joins other dignitaries in the ancient city of Ibadan as Rashidi Ladoja is crowned 44th Olubadan amid controversy grows over conduct of Post-UTME as stakeholders call for scrapping, describing it as legalized extortion. We also brought you news that the UN General Assembly delegates walk out in protest as Benjamin Netanyahu vows Israel must finish job in Gaza. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Please share your thoughts and comments using the number showing now on your screen. You can do that as well by following us on social media at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, on Star Times channel 274, Arrow TV, and streaming live on YouTube. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Have a good weekend.